KJLH Compton, Los Angeles. We will always remember the great Kobe Bryant.
I want to be the best.
KJLH celebrates our Black Mamba, Kobe Bryant.
Right now until 10 p.m.
As we go commercial free and pay tribute to Kobe Bryant. Join Aundrae Russell as we pay tribute to the one and only Kobe Bryant. KJLH celebrates Kobe Bryant.
Right now until 10 p.m.
102.3 KJLH.
Mamba out.
This is 102.3 KJLH, just after 6 o'clock, and I am so proud to be here as we honor and gather to pay tribute to a great brother, a great father, a very unique man, a creative force, a hard-working individual. And ladies and gentlemen, you know I'm talking about the Black Mamba, Kobe Bryant, and I'm so glad that so many of my friends in the industry, in the sports world, and so many of Kobe's friends have agreed to join us here today to pay tribute to Kobe Bryant. We in Los Angeles and people all over the world, of course, are saddened by his passing. And tonight we're just going to celebrate and have a good time and talk about the man, Kobe Bryant. Of course, Byron Scott's on his way in, Reggie Theus, Dr. William Parham, the great Derek Richardson is right here in the studio. The great Derek Fisher is here with us today. AC Green's going to join us. Mark Spears, J.A. Adonde, Jim Hill, Ryan Hollins, Jim Clemens, Tracy Murray, James Worthy, Sean Powell, Stu Lance. The list goes on and on and on. LT, Lawrence Tanner from the Lakers. So many folks are going to join us today, and we're going to pay tribute to the Black Mamba, Kobe Bryant. I start off this evening with the Derricks. I got the Derricks here. I got my man, Derek Richardson, who's an NBA referee currently. Derek, thank you for joining us, sir.
No problem, Dre. Thanks for having me out here on this great evening.
And, of course, another brother who I think so much of and who we just adore, a great brother, Derek Fisher, the coach of the L.A. Sparks, former Laker great who came in and played with Kobe for years, won championships alongside Kobe, and we're so glad to have Derek Fisher with us. Derek, hello, sir, and welcome to KJLH.
What's up, Jay? I appreciate the opportunity to be on, man, and obviously we wish it for a different reason, but we're gonna share some good stories tonight as well, man. Celebration.
Absolutely, Derek. Both of the Dereks are here. I know, hey, let me ask you a question. Hey, Derek Fisher and Derek Richardson. Derek, did you ever have to call a technical on this other Derek?
Oh, yes. He's giving the league a couple of $1,000.
Yeah, man.
No, one of the most competitive, smart players that I ever had the pleasure and privilege to officiate. I remember once when you went to Golden State and we started to change the concepts of the illegal screens, and you came and I missed an illegal screen against you, and you said, "Yo, D, he was moving." He was moving. I knew he was moving. That's why I ran into him. And I'm like, get out of here. I went and looked at it at halftime. I'm like, golly.
And you saw he was right.
He was like, that's why he laughing, because it's true. He remembered the game. Golden State, Utah.
Man, I try not to waste, coming to you guys unless I really felt like, I was right. And I know I wasn't always right, but I tried my best not to waste your time, man. I know it was an impossible job to have, man, seriously, but it was always a pleasure when, I knew you were always going to be fair and objective and do it the right way whenever I saw you out there.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. Derek Richardson, thank you for being here, sir. And Derek Fisher, thank you for joining us today. And Derek, I don't know if you remember, I met you and Kobe Bryant on the same day. You guys both showed up to play in a summer league game at Long Beach State when you first got with the Lakers as rookies. You remember that?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yes, I do.
Y'all played in that game, and I had the pleasure and the privilege to be the PA announcer for that game, for your first game and for Kobe's first game. Derek, tell me, what's your favorite memory of Kobe?
Wow. Yeah, that is, there's so many memories, man. Honestly, I just think the opportunities that we had to talk about, life, man, and fatherhood, like, one particular moment that really stands out to me the most is just having a conversation as men about life and raising kids, etc. And Kobe shared with me how a real shift for him started to happen when he started thinking about his daughters 20 years from now, and the type of example he wanted to be, the way he wanted to try and raise his children the type of impact and presence he wanted to have. And even though I'm a little older than Kobe, the timing of the conversation was so fitting and so impactful. And I don't know if there's a basketball moment that, can equal that just in terms of being a great human being. But there are also great basketball moments, that I would call as well. I mean, in the 2000 NBA Finals, Shaq goes out and fouls out in Indiana on the road during the finals. And, Kobe hadn't had those moments yet in the finals on the biggest stage. And this guy knocked down some huge shots in overtime in Indianapolis to help us win that game and go up 3-1. And even for me as a teammate, we grew up watching the Lakers in the finals. And to see him out there doing that, that's when I knew this dude was going to be one of the greatest to ever play basketball.
Wow. Derek, do you think the attention that Kobe brought to women's basketball and the WNBA is going to help with the growth of the game? Will it sustain?
I think it has helped, honestly, it's unbelievable that in such a short retirement life that we saw him living and starting to really grow into how impactful he was and has been to the women's game, the WNBA. I think to the young women at the collegiate level as well. He's had a tremendous impact and really been a mentor to so many, young women and young men as well. But I think on the women's side, the only way it is sustainable is for people to take action, just like anything. And, I'm for whatever reason, that God has placed me in the women's game at the moment. I just feel a greater burden and in a positive way and responsibility to do even more in the women's game, to talk about it more, to teach it more, to celebrate it more, and make sure that our young girls and our young women have, as much opportunity to be great at the sport as any boy and man would. And I think that's what we all should be striving for.
Absolutely. Derek, I know you have to run, and our condolences to you, man, because not too many people knew him as well as you did. We all knew him, but, boy, you shared a lot with him. I mean, you were teammates for so long, and I know you all were really close. Finish this sentence for me, Derek, last thing. Kobe Bryant was blank.
Oh, man. Kobe Bryant was impactful. I think in life we all strive to live a great life, and oftentimes we're looking to do that in a way that the most immediate people to us feel it, right? Like our wives, our children, our family, our mom, our children, the things that are closest to us that we can have impact on. And a lot of us, even though society wouldn't tell you that, a lot of us are doing a pretty decent job at that. But real, true impact in the world, that's a whole different thing. And unfortunately, we had to lose him, which hurts my heart to say, in order for us to really see how impactful he has been to this world that we live in. Not just in basketball, man. So many people in business and politics and teaching and education that used him as an example of how to strive for excellence, how to be great at what you love to do. And not many people will ever touch this earth and have the level of impact that he's had. And I'm going to miss him. I know we're all going to miss him. And the best way for me to heal and continue to grow through this is to try and take on the work that he was doing and keep doing more with it.
Absolutely. And I say this to you, Derek Fisher, Derek Richardson, on behalf of our great owner, Stevie Wonder, we send our condolences to all of the fans, the friends, the family of Kobe Bryant, and our deepest condolences to you all. Derek, I know it's been tough doing these interviews and talking about Kobe, so we appreciate you being a part of the Celebrating Kobe here on KJLH today, man. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you, Dre. Always so much love and respect for you and the station and what you mean to the community and to our culture. And Derek Richardson, it's an honor, man, to just, even in passing here briefly, get a chance to be, next to you even verbally. You mean a lot to our game as well. And as men and as black men in particular, we got to just do a much better job of showing love to each other and saying positive things to each other and not tearing each other down. And, You're a good brother. You mean a lot to the NBA and to the league and to players like myself and Kobe. I know that for a fact. And we appreciate everything you've done as well, brother.
Thank you.
All right. Derek, we got a couple of shooting guards coming in a few minutes. I don't know if you want to pass on the ball. Byron Scott and Reggie Theus, man. But, they're going to take all the shots. But anyway, thank you for joining us, Derek. We'll talk to you soon, brother. God bless you.
Thanks for having me.
Take care. All right. The great Derek Fisher, of course, Laker legend, and Sparks' current coach on 102.3 KJLH. Derek Richardson is here, a current NBA referee and a brother who's very active in the community. Derek, thank you for being here, man. And a lot of people don't know, Kobe did a lot of philanthropic work and had a lot of endeavors going on that people don't even know about, huh?
His heart was unbelievable. And I'm going to tell a quick story. I was thinking about it on the way over here. And he, about 4 or 5 years ago, no, longer than that, maybe about 6 years ago, he was going down to the Drew League. Mm-hmm. And he's going to play in the game. And I remember talking to Dino Smiley and Kevin Cutler, and they're like, can you referee the game? And I'm like, yeah, sure, I could come on and down. That's no problem, whatever you need. And he came on down, and it was standing room only, and he played in the game. Now, LA County Sheriff had planned for him to leave with about 3 minutes to go in the game. Mm-hmm. And our friend about the late, great Tony, I'll never forget, he's ready to get ahead and, call a timeout. Tell Dino, call a timeout. We got to get Kobe out. So then Kobe looks over at him, says, nah, I'm not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. So the game goes on, goes down. Him and James Harden, they're going at it. Goes down to the last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Kobe turns around and hits a jump shot, right? Uh-huh. The whole Colonel Washington gym goes crazy. Now, all the young kids, all the young adults, they just come in and hugging him. And I could see the fear in in Tony's face and the other security guards because they had no control. And he looks over at Tony. He's like, it's all right. It's all right. I'm home. So then, after the game later on that night, Dino Smiley and I are talking, and he's like, D, the community is on fire. Everybody is united. There was no Bloods, no Crips. It was like us. And that's what he did. But he didn't have to stay because it was arranged for him to leave and leave the community, 3 minutes before the game was over. And that's the type of individual, that lasting as far as philanthropical and giving back to the community, mm-hmm. going back down to the Drew League. Him, and I remember him and Vanessa coming and staying and watching young guys ball. And he didn't have to. And I remember sitting in the stand saying, wow.
This is something, man.
Yeah.
You got great stories about him too, Derek.
Oh, yeah, I got that. I got one right here to my brother at my left.
There. Listen, just a minute ago, he missed this. Derek Fisher was on, right? And I said, Derek, have you ever called a tech on Derek Fisher? And he told the story, right? Yes. Well, we got another coach to your left now. And Derek Fisher passed you the ball. I told him we had shooting guards coming in, right? Mm-hmm. So I want to know, did you ever have to hit Byron Scott with a technical foul?
Nah. You know what? Byron was he was always the parent on the court, right? Okay. So when I miss a play, he just fold his arms and just look at wouldn't say a word. So, then you put your head down. He would never, ever, ever. As a matter of fact, he had the utmost respect. He was an individual that I would tell young officials, if he gets angry, mm-hmm. he missed the call.
Okay.
Because he never gets emotional. He never says anything to embarrass you. And if he says something, he's 100% sure. So you listen.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got Inglewood's finest in here. He's a champion Laker doing Showtime, NBA coach. Man, I realize you coach so many teams. Lakers, New Jersey Nets, New Orleans, Cleveland Cavs. He played with Kobe and coached Kobe, which is really unique in itself. One of my favorite people in the whole wide world. I've known him for a long time. We're so glad to have on the celebration of Kobe tonight, Byron Scott is in the building. Hey, Byron.
What's happening?
Good to have you here, man.
How you doing, Dre?
Good. Thanks for coming through, man.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure.
So this ref here, he didn't give you a hard time? Was he telling the truth?
D was cool, man. And he's right. If you made a bad call, I would just say, look, you missed that. It's just like I would tell players when they made a call and the players complaining about I didn't foul him. I said, yes, you did. You fouled him. I'm sitting right here. I'm looking at you. You fouled him. Quit saying you didn't. You fouled him. And to me, integrity is such a big part of the game. And even when I played, If I fouled the guy and the referee called it, that was a good call. You know, and if I didn't, I would just walk up to him and say, I didn't get him. I missed him. I didn't foul him on that one. So, you know, I wish a lot of the players were more like that today, you know. But, you know, it is what it is. But D was one of the best, and still is, you know, one of the best guys that, you know, that coach or ref games. And I knew when we went into a game and I had him on the side, you know, about to do his job as far as referee, and I knew I had a chance. I knew he was going to get a fair shot. You know, and you can't say that about every referee in the NBA, but for the most part, there was a lot of guys that I knew, hey, I'm going to get a fair shot tonight.
There we go. We got another legend in here. A lot of people might not know, but they need to. This brother's very important in NBA. He's a professor at Loyola Marymount University, and he runs the NBA mental health department. He's the mental health director for the NBA. Dr. William Parham is here. Hello, sir, and welcome today. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Good
Pull that mic a little closer to you there. Good to see you, Doctor. Thanks for coming in.
Good to see you too, Aundrae.
Yeah. You know these two? You know these two guys?
Absolutely.
You're about to straighten this one out?
No, they're both straight already.
Okay, all right.
Certified.
Thank you for being here. It's Celebrating Kobe on KJLH. Byron, let me ask you, since it is a unique situation, you played with Kobe and you coached him. Yeah. What is something about Kobe that most people don't know?
Well, I think Derek touched on a little bit of it. You know, the way he was off the court, everybody thinks because he was such an unbelievable mega star in Los Angeles that he was almost untouchable or unreachable, you know, unapproachable, you know, but that wasn't Kobe. You know, I mean, first of all, he loved kids. He loved kids to death. You know, any kid that ever stopped him for an autograph or a picture, he took. And I don't think a lot of people understand the type of person he was off the court, because again, when you're on the court, you get labeled. You know, and this is the type of guy, he's the Mamba on the basketball court, but off the court, he was a husband, he was a father, philanthropist. This kid loved, you know, helping in the communities, and he did a bunch of this stuff just behind closed doors. You know, he wasn't looking for publicity or anything like that. He just wanted to help the community. And obviously, the African-American community here in Los Angeles and the Latino community, because of Vanessa and their relationship and his love for just people in general, you know, he took a big liking to really try to put up these Mamba foundations and things of that nature to help kids, not only with basketball, but with just in life in general. So he was just a special person. And I'm blessed because of the fact that I met him at 17 years old. He came in this league. We talked all the time. We sit on the bus together because he was young and he's very impressionable, but he wanted to learn. He had a thirst for knowledge. And, yeah, he wasn't a regular 18-year-old that I've ever seen. You know, he would be on the back of the bus and he'd pull out a New York Times magazine, a weekly magazine. He never pulled out the funny papers or the sports sections, you know. So that just told me he was just totally different.
And that was as a young player?
And that was at 18 years old.
Wow.
You know, so he was just different, and he was also just driven. You know, he wanted to be one of the greatest of all times, and he told me that on a number of occasions. And his work ethic, I knew he was going to be great. You know, it's just, you can just tell by the way he approached practice even at 18 years old. So, but I think the thing people really don't understand is how great he was and how giving he was off the court.
You know who told me the same thing the other night? Nick Van Exel. I saw Nick at a game, and we talked, and he wanted to be a part of this tonight, but he was traveling. But he said that about Kobe. You know, a lot of things people are just finding out about him since he's passed away. Yeah. You know, Dr. Parham, how much, I guess I'm trying to say young brothers and dads around the country will, once they see what a great parent Kobe was, would that help? Would that make men shift their focus in the way they're parenting? And do you think it'll have an impact?
Not only do I think it will, I'm convinced that it will. And I think what adds a strength to the image of him as a father, as a parent, and as a loving one, somebody who's very present and available, was that he translated his Mamba mentality from the court into his personal life. His girl's wife were his priority. And so even in his passing, I see Kobe as the sort of making the ultimate assist, passing the ball to all of us, you know, in the form of 3 questions. Kobe, in my experience of him and with him, that he had an unquenchable restlessness to be better today than he was yesterday, not realizing that he is as good as he's going to be tomorrow. So he was always day to day like that. And I think he translated that to his being a parent. He also believed that every challenge hidden in there was an opportunity for him to grow and mature. I don't care what the challenge was, whether it was on the court or off the court. The third gift in the passing of the ball that I see in Kobe, and I think young brothers could really benefit from, he translated his thirst for knowledge, his discovery of his talents, into servicing others. Mm-hmm. And it is true, I believe what they say is that the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. And at the end of the day, that's what Kobe Bryant did. I think his story is yet unfolding, and I think a lot more truth will be illuminated as time passes. So I think he is a role model in many dimensions yet to be surfaced at this point.
If you're just joining us, we are celebrating Kobe Bryant tonight until 10 o'clock here on KJLH. Commercial free. We're laying it out to celebrate the Mamba and let you call up. You can be a part of this conversation as well. 520-KJLH, 520-KJLH if you want to talk about Kobe and tell us your favorite memory and just pay tribute tonight. Celebrating Kobe in the building, in the room, on the mic, Dr. William Parham, NBA Mental Health Director, Derek Richardson, NBA referee, and the great Byron Scott is here with us. And ladies and gentlemen, especially you guys, I think y'all know this next guest is joining us right now. They call him the Iron Man. AC Green. Hey, AC, how you doing, man?
Oh, my gosh, I'm great. I'm doing great.
You know these guys in here?
Oh, my gosh, do I ever? Whoa.
No, wait a minute. Derek Richardson.
What's up, fellas?
What's up, Junior?
Hey, what's up, AC?
Y'all say AC, but you know his name is Junior.
Wait a minute.
Junior, just so y'all know. Just so y'all know. Y'all give y'all a little insight on AC Green. We call him Junior.
AC, you know, I never should have found that out, right? You know that?
Ditto.
So Derek Richardson, did you ever, I bet you never had to call a technical foul on Junior here, did you?
Never. There has never been another player to play on in our league like AC Green. AC, you gonna tell him how you was about to break the record?
Yeah.
And JRV gave you an elbow, knocked out your two front teeth. Now, we know if that had been B, what would have happened?
It would have been on. I ain't gonna lie. It would have been, but see, Junior is so cool about it. I remember seeing that too, D. He just reached down, walked over, picked his teeth up, and walked on out. Me? No, bro. The straight Inglewood would have came out. I'd been on top of my man's head, trying to go to work.
That's funny, man. Byron, you probably taught Kobe how to be so tough, didn't you, when he was young? Maybe that's where he got a lot of that toughness from.
No, I tell you what, he from the streets of Philly. You know, so he had that toughness coming in, and he understood right away that guys were going to test him, you know, and try to be aggressive and physical and push him around. And he would say, I ain't backing down from nobody. And that was 18 years old, you know. I don't know. I mean, I came in the league at 21 and I felt that way. But at 18, I think I would have been more intimidated by some of these guys. He wasn't intimidated one bit. And he was looking forward to the challenge of playing against these guys that were the best in the league. And he straight said, I ain't backing down from nobody at 18 years old. So,
wow.
Yeah, he was, like I said, he was different.
Man, I feel so honored.
I'm sorry, but it's so funny, D, because I hear you talk about that, and it's so true, though, because Kobe, he was just like that. I mean, it was to the point, honestly, that he was surprised that he wasn't in the game for 48 minutes.
Yeah.
He you know, it was how dare you? What am I sitting on the side over here for? You know, and it was like he totally mentally was like he was already there mentally, like he was superior. You know, from that standpoint, just coming in. And I sort of hear what I'm laughing because I hear exactly what you're saying, and then obviously all of us knowing him, but he was like that. And then the physical part obviously they caught up to his mental side in the sense where physically he came with that teenager body. Then eventually he got it all in sync and all in tune, and as we know, it was lights off from there.
Yeah, rest is history.
So, AC, you got to play with Kobe. Of course, you won championships with B and Showtime, and then you played with Kobe. What was it like, those two differences, I guess I want to say?
Oh, wow. Well, let's see. The playing with I laugh because playing with Kobe, okay, and that my new millennial Laker team was, it was a team that we were trying to find our identity, okay, trying to see, how good we really could be, because we didn't know going into that particular season, the hype was already there, in the sense of in the 98, 99, obviously having the two big stars there, or two big young guns who hadn't really became superstars. But then all of a sudden, you go into that, coming in that 99, 2000 year, and then, these guys are like Phil Jackson's coming, and you're like, whoa, wait a minute. And they say you get into the core of the year, and we did that year. And I think it's one of those things that the season started to define us, because we started to actually win games that people didn't expect us to win, and we started then we started winning consecutive games, and next thing you know, we have winning streaks that we ran off so many in a row, and I think it then started to help us and sort of brought that confidence into a young team looking and searching for who and what the identity is going to be. Then all of a sudden, Phil Jackson, championship caliber. Okay, Ron Harper, championship player. John Sally, championship player. Robert Horry, championship player. Along, on that team that particular year. And so all of a sudden you say, okay, there's championship characteristics around, but, do we have what it takes? And I think, by the time we got just before All-Star break, it really seemed like, the thirst was there. But we started to catch up, with that particular hype. And then, Kobe in particular, he really had caught fire. And I think he got there I think he got there faster than most guys, in particular on the team, where the excel was nothing but championship. He's like, man, come on, we can do this. As much as he didn't talk, when he did speak, it's one of those things, be it so like Cap, different times you remember that. Because I went back to Showtime, I started with my new millennial team. But it's just the situation started to define us, and next thing you know, we got into that deep run, and then there we are into the playoffs, and started to go through the playoffs. Definitely not easy, but that's when the men were born at that particular time and defined. But the biggest difference, I think, obviously, and then playing, of course, with B and the Showtime boys there, the huge difference is that confidence factor was there. We knew how good we were. I was the guy that came into an already fine-chiseled, fine-tuned machine, just had won a championship. And it was one of those things that it wasn't a struggle of identity, purpose. It was nothing, but it was a championship or bust kind of attitude. Expectation was already there. Policing, as far as, you playing, guys, they taught me how to hold one another accountable and each other accountable, as well as yourself, as opposed to my new millennial. We were still, getting caught up in little small petty things as the Showtime just laughed off of those little small internal locker room problems, as we call it, was never an issue.
Wow, look, I got Dr. William Parham from the National Basketball Players Association, Derek Richardson, NBA ref, Byron Scott is here, and AC Green. I got two members of Showtime, man. This is pretty special. And we're celebrating Kobe tonight. Now, which one of you guys was around when Kobe made that first record? Remember he made a record with Tyra Banks? AC, that wasn't you in the video, was it? Byron, you wasn't singing, was it?
No, I remember the one with Brian McKnight.
Okay, we got that one too.
Yeah, I remember that one when he was rapping on that. I didn't know he did one with Tyra as well.
And this is the one, I was the DJ for the Lakers for a long time, and he said, man, play this one when I come out, it gets me going, So, 102.3 KJLH, celebrating Kobe tonight. Right. And a lot of folks are coming through. I want to send a shout out to my girl, Beverly White from Channel 4 KNBC in the building. Hey, Bev.
Hey, Aundrae.
She always supports everything we do, man. She gets us out there in the community, and she does great work in the community. So thank you, Bev. We love you.
See you at 11.
Oh, yeah. All right. Seat 11. Beverly White here. Listen, now you sure that wasn't either one of you guys? Hold on. You sure that wasn't either one of you guys rapping on that?
I'm positive it wasn't me. I was telling D, I said, man, he's got that Philly sound. He sounded a little bit like Will Smith up there, but that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. Never heard that one.
Look, AC, that wasn't you on there, right? That wasn't you.
No, but I tell you what, that was 100. That was 100 right there.
Yeah, man. We used to light that one up in the forum, man, when they come out warming up and stuff. So that's Kobe Bryant featuring Tyra Banks, actually. Wow. Tyra Banks on that one. And we're celebrating Kobe tonight on KJLH. AC Green is with us. Ace, thank you for joining us today, man. I know you're doing. Tell everybody what you were up to before you get away from us tonight.
Oh, wow. Right now, there's always a daily push always in trying to, just get this next generation, our younger kids, just more educated, more versed not only in the basics of inside of school, but also the life lessons that are so applicable for them in life themselves. And so working with 4th, 5th, 6th graders 4 or 5 times a week right now has been a lot of fun within our LA Unified School District as well as Linwood School District. And then, outside of that, obviously doing our supporting our Laker love there and our broadcasting, doing our play-by-play, our color with our G League, the South Bay Lakers over there. So I have a chance to do that and watch the growth and development of our young people. But it's been a lot of fun, and it's obviously a number of other things. But more than anything else, I'm just trying to keep up with Byron Scott. That's what I'm really honestly been trying to do.
Oh, boy. AC so full of it.
I bet you guys had fun and it's showtime.
I tell you what, we had so much fun. AC and I, we go so far back. Obviously, played against each other in the Pac-10, way back in the day when it was the Pac-10 or Pac-8 at the time or whatever. And when he got drafted by the Lakers, I was so happy because I had played against him and I knew what type of guy and player he was. And then I wasn't happy because the first year or so he stayed at my house so much and ate all my food so often. I was like, look, Anita, we got to send him home, man. He coming over every night. What you having for dinner? I mean, he was eating us out of house and home, but that's my boy. I love him to death. And we shared some really good times, obviously, with the Lakers, and way past that because he's also my only daughter's godfather as well. So
okay. Yeah,
we family, basically. All those Laker guys, we family.
A lot of your families coming through here tonight. Stu Lance later is going to join us. Yeah. LT, Lawrence Tanner, a lot of folks. James Worthy. So a lot of the Laker love coming through tonight as we celebrate Kobe. AC, thanks for joining us, man. We love you, brother.
Appreciate it, fellas. Y'all have a great time in there, all right? And yes, let's keep celebrating our guy, Cole.
Okay.
Love y'all.
All right,
AC. All right, Junior.
Take care.
All the best to you, AC.
Okay,
Take care, AC.
Okay, see y'all. All right, we there.
I'll talk to you.
All right.
What's his nickname again?
We named him Junior.
Junior, okay.
He used to always call me Weezer.
I'm scared to ask.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember, so we just leave that one alone.
Dr. Parham, I know since Kobe passed away, you've had a lot of calls and different folks from the, from the players and the Players Association needing your help. What are some of the things that you've had to deal with?
Well, I certainly think the death of Kobe, his daughter, the other folks on the helicopter, and certainly our hearts go out to Vanessa and the children as well as the other families. It just hit everybody very hard. It was clearly off the radar. It was just striking. I was in disbelief personally. I think a lot of others were as well. And I think for everybody, there is a spectrum of emotions that evolved then and that continue to evolve. And people are trying to still make some sense of it. And in fact, when I look at and hear a lot of the players, people we've talked to, the full range of emotions can really be put in a box labeled out of control. There was a sense of feeling, whoa, what the heck just happened? And there's a drive to try to get back in control. And that's not always easy, and that's complicated, in part because what we do know, when people are responding emotionally to current trauma, particularly for adults, what erupts are feelings, almost the exact feeling, fingerprint or imprint of past trauma. So the weight of a current situation is contributed to by the weight of some of the past trauma. So part of the journey of colleagues, myself and colleagues, is really to help them tease out what reaction is current and what series of reactions, emotional reactions, are really coming up from the past. So it really represents the ultimate invitation to sort of reset the button of your life, go back and examine, resolve, make peace with some other issues. So that's really what we're doing, sorting out the present reaction as well as giving them sort of permission and a roadmap for how to resolve some of the past stuff that has come up.
All right. Dr. William Parham's here, Derek Richardson, Byron Scott, and here's a guy I bet you guys know. You might have had to call a tech on him, Derek, from and he wasn't even on the court. He's an amazing journalist and reporter from ESPN and The Undefeated. From the Bay Area, my man Mark Spears checking in. What's up, Mark?
I mean, you didn't tell me it's going to be a party like that.
What's up, Mark?
I brought some wine or something. You know?
Mark's known for that.
See, I told you. Look at him. Mark Spears, thanks for joining us today, man. You know all three of these brothers, I'm sure, man.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that says something about you, too, if you're able to bring them guys together along with Kobe. Man, that you've got some special people on the phone, special people in that room, so just the fact that you even want to even hear what I got to say means a lot.
I know you knew Kobe and knew a lot of things, Mark. Share a little bit with us, man.
You know, I don't think we liked each other at first. To be honest, and that was probably, but we were both filling each other out. But I think where we connected was actually Hurricane Katrina. And I don't know if you guys could remember this, but in 2005 there was a charity game in Houston, and I ended up, going there to cover it. And my parents were actually displaced. I had family members who lost their homes and were displaced, and somehow Kobe knew about it. And he came up to me like before the games, like, "How's your family doing?" I'm like, "Huh?" Like, how does he know about this? And Barbara knows. He just knows stuff, And one NBA exec one time told me, like, if you're waiting for an NBA player to give you a hug, you're wasting your time. But Kobe would give you that hug. And so he asked me about my parents. He asked me about my family. He asked me about how, it affected the people from New Orleans. And we talked about what we both saw that day. And me and him were cool ever since, man. And there was just I didn't talk to him every day, but when we talked, it was fellowship, man. It was good. And, I think he told me one time that I'm always asking him them Dr. Seuss-ass questions. But the doctor in the house knows, man, I'm trying to I think he respected the fact that I was always asking him things that were probing his mind. I knew he had a brilliant mind. Making him think outside the box. He was already an outside the box thinker. And, I had several, special moments with him where he would go out of his way to do interviews with me, whether it was at media day or, walking in the hallway after the game or in the locker room. My favorite one was actually his last game at Golden State. I was waiting for him and he asked me to go into the trainer's room and talk to him. It's probably the only time I've really been in the trainer's room. And Spike Lee was filming. People were filming their thing. And Kobe being Kobe, man, he started asking me about what was going on in my life. And I, kind of share with him I might have a job transition soon. And a couple months later, man, I ended up getting a job at ESPN's Undefeated in 2016. Sent him an email to tell him, because that's how we communicated. And he said, man, I'm proud of you. Right from the heart, and I'm always here for you if you need anything, man. So, all of us got stories, but I think that not that I didn't interview him after that, but that interaction via email, man, I want to go print that out and frame it and put it on my wall anytime I'm having a slow day.
Wow, he has to be one of the most unique athletes you've ever interviewed, I'm sure, right, Mark?
Oh, he's the best. I mean, and I'm not just saying that to say it. I missed him when he stopped playing because there was just nobody like him. Byron knows this. He was thinking about post career years before, working on things years before. So I always had these like really, really interesting conversations about what was next with him, even though what he was doing on the court was always phenomenal. And I also liked his, a lot of people thought he was hard on people. He was hard on Dwight, blah, blah, blah. I respected his commitment to excellence, his commitment to bring the best out of people. And, I kind of grew up in a straight, no-chaser environment. And maybe that was also my generation of playing basketball. If you sucked, somebody would tell you. If you weren't playing hard, somebody would tell you. And so I never had a problem with him telling somebody that they weren't working out hard enough, or they weren't playing hard enough, or they weren't getting in early enough to improve their game. Yes, he was on a different level, but, I just respected that. And my last interview with him was about a year ago, and we talked about, I know he got the film award, which was amazing, but he has these books out that I'm surprised nobody's talking about, these Wizenard books, where this dude came up with a book series that everybody could buy about, it's a sports sci-fi? Like, who thinks of that? Sports sci-fi. And then there's these huge books like War and Peace. And, I read about it because I don't read that much, but I did read about it. I said, hey, Kobe, man, you got a lot of characters in here that are of different colors, different ethnicities, different backgrounds. He said, that's what it is at home. My kids are Mexican and black. I want them to see characters that look like me. I want them to, be able to read a book and feel like they're a part of this as well, instead of being an outcast. And so that's the thing, one of the things that pains me, that I think we were going to see this person that had the ability to change the racism in the world, to change how people looked at the world, to think in a more diverse mindset. And Kobe being Kobe, was ahead of the game.
Listen, I'm going to ask this question to all four of you guys. Are you surprised at the outpouring of love that Kobe received from around the world? Because it just seemed like it's been from everywhere.
I'm not. I think a lot of people didn't get to know him on a personal level, but they loved what he was able to do on that basketball court. So for that, you had a ton of people that just loved Kobe because of the way he played the game and how hard he played, and his dedication to the game. And then just like anybody else that's successful, you have your haters. But in China, probably sold more jerseys than anybody, and would go there and spend time there, and also try to learn the language there. So everywhere that he went, again, when we talked about it, and Dr. Parham talked about his thirst for knowledge, fluent in a few languages, that's not by accident, that's because he wants to be entrenched in that society, that community. And, just seeing all this outpour was not surprising to me whatsoever.
I'm not surprised at all either. I really believe that while some people knew Kobe, everybody saw Kobe. And what they saw is really his drive, his passion, his commitment, his dedication to excellence, his willing to sacrifice where needed, yet not all out. I think he brought a balance. I think there are a lot of people a lot of rookies, for example, who patterned their game on him, even though they may have never met him. A lot of kids who never made it to the league at all, don't even play. But in their backyard, they fantasize about making that last three-pointer and winning the game. I think people live through him, adults, elderly. When you saw him and the Showtime Lakers back in B's era, but also with Kobe, you sort of lost yourself for those 2 or 3 hours. Were taken away from the pain and struggle of your daily grind. And that was really reinforcing. And so when he's gone, and the instantaneousness of it, the permanence of it, the shock, that really resonates like an earthquake everywhere. It's really like a pebble in a pond. And as you know, when a pebble is dropped in a pond of still water, it ripples far beyond the point of impact. So I don't yet think we've seen the full impact and the voices from the many who were touched by the life of Kobe.
Derek, when you reffed games and Kobe was in town and they were playing with whoever, Did you sense even not here, if it was on the road, did you sense more electricity in the building that night? People come out to see him?
Yes, I remember I had his last game in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And he hadn't announced. I think the next week, Byron, he announced that was going to be it.
Mm-hmm.
But New York knew.
Mm-hmm.
And just the way he made people feel.
Mm-hmm.
The way he walked off, and I just remember him saying goodbye as we're walking, into our locker room. And when I think about Kobe, I think about one of my she-bros, Maya Angelou. Mm-hmm. And when she said, people may forget what you say, they may forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel.
Mm.
Yeah. And he always, whether it was on the court, or once you see him outside in the public, he made you feel good. My son was hard, right? Little kid. He couldn't stand going, he like going to Laker game, but he didn't want to let nobody know his feelings.
Mm-hmm.
He had a picture with, I have it, or he sent it to me when Kobe transitioned, of him, got his arms around Kobe, Kobe smiling, he had Gigi on his back.
Wow.
And the fact that he made this boy feel like that, he felt good. And that's who told me, Dad, send me a text, Dad, Kobe died.
Wow.
Kobe who?
Right.
Kobe who?
Yeah. What Kobe you talking about?
Yeah. Then he said, Brian, I'm like, get out of here.
Yep.
But yeah, Kobe was, people understood when they was around him. I remember being at home watching the game when they came back against Phoenix. Mm-hmm. Or you guys remember the game when they came back against Portland, and throwing the pass to Shaq.
Yeah.
And even when you think about where he came, do you remember when his heart was so different when he missed those shots against Utah in the playoff, right?
3 air balls.
Now, I'll be honest, I wouldn't have shot it. I'll be honest at that age. And for him to come back, and we remember that.
Yeah.
And he was different. And he made us all feel great.
Mark Spears from ESPN and The Undefeated is with us. Mark, you had a lot of opportunities to talk to and cover Kobe. It seemed like he was as happy when he won an Academy Award as he was when he won an NBA championship.
Yeah, I remember one time I made the mistake of telling him we won 4 titles. And he's like, no, bro, 5. like get that right. So there was some humor to him there that I'll never forget. One time I went to interview him after practice, and I used to always catch him before he used to sneak out and take off with Nico Harrison from Nike, who was like right-hand guy. And one time I came up to him with a Adidas sweatsuit. He's like, man, I ain't talking to you, bro. I'm like, why? How you going to disrespect me like that, man? How you going to wear an Adidas sweatsuit? And I was like, but, he's like, no, you're going to have to take that off. I'm like, I'm going to have to take it off at the practice facility? What do you mean? He's like, no, you want this interview, you're going to have to go home. When you go home, dispose of it. I'll do the interview, but you got to send me proof that you disposed of it.
Wow.
So I'll just say I got the interview, and he got his picture. Let's just say that. I needed that interview, man. But what I learned from that was, if I'm interviewing Steph, I wear Under Armour. Mm-hmm. If I'm interviewing Kevin Durant, I'm wearing Nike. If I'm interviewing Damian Lillard, I'm wearing Adidas. He would make you, he would teach you those things. But the funniest thing I remember, and I won't stay on too long because you got brilliant voices there. We were in Utah for I think it was one of our last playoff series he was in. Maybe it was 2010, 12, one of them years. They're playing Utah, and they're up 2-1 after they just lost the game. He's like, hey, man, I got a off night in Utah. Let's go hang out. So we went to some spot in Utah, and that's where I first saw how he got heckled all the time, how he dealt with it. And some woman was just destroying this dude, y'all suck, y'all gonna get beat, y'all gonna get knocked out. And he's like, all right, whatever. So there just happened to be somebody in our crew that found this heckler, this lady, to be attractive. So Kobe being Kobe goes, all right, well, if we beat y'all, you gotta go to dinner with my boy. And she's like, what? He's like, put your money where your mouth is. If you gonna talk all this stuff, you gotta go to dinner with my boy. And they won the next 2 games, and she went out to dinner with him. So there was a serious side. He cursed me out for some of the questions I asked in the playoff series in Phoenix. But then there was the brilliant side, and then there was the comedic side too, man. And then obviously the father side.
Wow. Man, Mark, thanks for joining us. We got a lot of folks coming up. We got somebody you probably know, J.A.
Get me out of here, Dan. That's LA with those other voices.
J.A. Aundrae's coming up in a minute.
There,
look, I know you know J.A. He's coming up. And look, he's trying to overtalk me. No, man. I ain't done with you yet.
Dre, he owes me dinner anyway. I took care of him in New Orleans for...
You did.
You see, you still owe me dinner. I'm still looking for that dinner, though, Mark. I'm gonna get it sooner or later.
Man, hey, bro, you on all these TV shows. I don't know if you had time to have dinner.
I'll make time for you. Let's put it that way.
All right. Well, then you go get that call, man. I thought you might have a shooting or something.
Great job this morning on ESPN on the Damian Lillard piece. I saw it. They've showed it again this morning. Great job on that, Mark.
Oh, man. Thanks, man. I'm just trying to make guest appearances when they need me, man. But again, I'll say this before I get off. I love y'all brothers, man. Thank you for what you do to the world. Thank you to the gifts you give them every day. Aundrae, thanks for doing this. This is beautiful. And I look forward to giving y'all a hug soon. And B. Scott, we're going to get that meal for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Listen,
love you, Mark.
And Mark, just to let you know, we have a brother coming on a little bit later, Christopher Bowers. He composed those scores for Kobe Bryant. He did Kobe Bryant's Muse. So we're going to have him on a little bit later. And
hang up on me, man. Talk to me.
Get out of here, man. J.A. Aundrae coming up, Jim Hill coming up, Stu Lance coming up. Mark, we love you, man. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
All right. This is Celebrating Kobe on 102.3 KJLH. And I believe he's with us now. J.A. Aundrae, hello there.
How you doing, Aundrae?
Look, from one stud to another stud. Look, I got all the amazing journalists in here. Director of, most people don't know you're the director of sports journalism at Northwestern University right now in Chicago, former LA Times columnist, Washington Post, ESPN, and Around the Horn. And J.A. Aundrae joining us to talk about Kobe. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. It's crazy to think it hasn't even been 2 full weeks yet. That first week, I don't know about for you guys, but that was one of the slowest, longest weeks of my life. It just felt like, there was so much feeling and grieving and talking and producing content, and then you look up and it's only Wednesday. And it just felt like it just felt like things came to a halt, even though there was so much going on. There's an impeachment trial and so much else going on in the world. But it just felt like everything came to a crawl that week. And we're just now maybe getting back up to normal speed.
Wow. Jay, when was the last time you talked to Kobe?
I really think it was his last game, the night of his last game, when he dropped that 60 piece. And what really makes me feel grateful. We didn't have that exchange that night, but the night he announced his retirement earlier that season, and we walked out of the arena together, and he was with his family, and I stopped right before he was getting ready to get in his car, and I just told him thank you. Thank you for 20 years of material. As a columnist, all you can hope for is something interesting to write about and something that people will want to discuss and talk about. And when you write something, they'll be interested in the subject. And anytime the topic was Kobe, they were interested. The clicks went up and the ratings went up. He produced so much great content. And I was just appreciative that he allowed me to spend so much time with him. He shared so much of his perspective and insight with me, countless times walking that corridor at Staples Center or by his locker while he was icing his feet. And, I was just really appreciative, and I thanked him. And I felt like when I was thinking about, is there anything I wish I had to say to him? Obviously, I wish he could go on. I wish we could have more conversations. I wish he could provide me more insight. So there's more I want from him, but at least there's nothing more I feel I need to tell him, because I did thank him for what he did. He meant so much to us. He meant so much to L.A., and so much to the fans, but he really meant so much to media. I wouldn't have been at ESPN probably if not for Kobe being in LA and the prominence that he gave to the Lakers, and the fact that they were a national story, an international story because of him. So he meant a lot to my career. And, I think back that there's so many interactions that I was able to have with him, but, the last one was that night. What a way to go out, right? That when he dropped those 60 points on the way out the door.
Absolutely. In the room with us right now, Dr. William Parham from the National Basketball Players Association, Derek Richardson, an NBA referee, and the one and only Byron Scott is here, and Jay Aundrae from ESPN and Around the Horn. Jay, where were you when you got the bad news? Were you in Chicago a couple of weeks ago?
I was here in Chicago, my apartment. I worked out in the middle of the day, and I got out of the shower. It's about 2 p.m. Central Time, and there was just this flurry of texts, and it's weird. It was so shocking and jarring that I can't even remember the specific order of who texted what and when. I saw the series of, oh no, is it true? Kobe helicopter died, and I can't even remember the order or what it said, but I just kind of pieced it all together. And then I went to see for myself, looking around, and sure enough, the reports were out there, and they'd been confirmed that he died in a helicopter crash. And then, we learned more details. We learned tragically that Gianna was on board. And at first I thought there were 5 people. That was the initial report. And I was starting to worry about his security people that, you guys know so well, that were constantly with him, that had been in the helicopter so much. And I was checking in with a couple of them. Then I heard that it was 9 people on board. And I thought, okay, that means for sure the security folks were there. And I was grateful I heard back from one of them. And then I heard, that another one wasn't on the helicopter. He was with the Lakers coming back from, I don't remember where they were. Where they were coming back from Philadelphia. Back from Philadelphia. And so I was just grateful, that in terms of my personal circle, the tragedy wasn't even worse. I mean, it was just a horrible, devastating story. But just being selfish for a moment, it could have affected even more people that I knew. Mm-hmm. And the hardest thing for me, it wasn't that I was particularly close to Kobe. We had a very professional, and I would say a very great professional relationship. I wouldn't say there was a real personal, close relationship, but so many of the people that I know had close relationships. The people inside the Lakers, Gary Vitti, Lawrence Tanner, the longtime public address announcer, people in the PR department. One of my former students at USC was Kobe's publicist for 4 years. So the effect and the impact that it had on people that I was close to, who were closer to Kobe, just, that just magnified the effect of it for me.
Right. Jay, I'm going to ask you a question that I asked Derek Fisher earlier as we let you get out of here. Complete this sentence. Kobe Bryant was blank.
Great at content, strong-willed. I've been trying to narrow it down to just he produced great content, and content in various forms. Obviously on the basketball court, at the microphone, in the studio, producing movies and films in his after career, and kind of the story that ultimately he was able to craft of his life and the fatherhood aspect. So I tried to narrow it down to summarize him as he was a great producer of content. And Byron sitting next to him, you can tell you, man, was he stubborn and strong-willed too. Coach was a very strong-willed person. But that's what makes it so shocking. There's no one that can overcome death, but Kobe just never succumbed to anything in his life. So to think that there was finally something that he couldn't overcome, that he had to succumb to, it was amazing. It was devastating and still surreal.
Yeah.
I'm planning on coming out for the service on the 24th, and that might provide a little bit of finality for me, but as it stands now, it still doesn't quite seem like he's gone.
Yeah, absolutely. J.A. Aundrae, thanks for joining us. And guys, I got to tell you, Byron, Derek, Doctor, this guy, J.A. Aundrae, we're owned by Stevie Wonder, of course. This is the biggest Stevie Wonder fan in the world. I think that's the only reason he agreed to come on tonight. He thought Stevie was going to interview him. But so Jay, he's listening now, man. So what do you want to say to Stevie Wonder? And don't sing. Don't try to sing now. What do you want to say?
No, I would never do that.
It's the biggest. Go ahead. You got the mic. What you want to say?
Just I was saying how grateful I was that I got to say thank you to Kobe, and it's thanks to Stevie that the final words I said to my mother were "I love you." I was getting ready to go see her in the hospital, and what turned out to be the last day of her life, and I just hit the shuffle on my CD carousel, and the Jungle Fever soundtrack came on, and these 3 words popped up. That song is all about making sure you say I love you to the people that matter to you. And so that was in my head. And when I was visiting her in the hospital, when I leave, I made sure I turned around on my way out the door and I just said I love you. And those 3 words were the last I told my mom. So the power of Stevie's music, and that was the exact song that I needed to hear that day. And you're never at peace when you lose someone close to you, but it made it a little easier knowing that those 3 words, I love you, were the last words I said to her. And it's funny, I was thinking about that with Kobe. I'm grateful that I said thank you to Kobe, and I'm grateful that I said I love you to my mom before she passed away. And, what really prompted me to say that was Stevie Wonder's song. So, Steve, if you're listening, thank you for putting that in my head, and thank you for all the music that you've given to us in this world.
He's listening. All right, Jay. Jay, thanks. Listen, a legend wants to talk to you, Jay, so don't hang up when we put you on hold. A legend. And it ain't Stevie, so let your heart stop racing. It's another legend named Jim Clemens. He wants to exchange numbers with you. So Jim is next. Hold on, Jay, okay? But thanks for joining us, man. We love you, brother.
You got it. Thanks for having me on. Love you guys.
All right. You heard me say the great Jim Clemens is coming up next, but we got a special lady that we're going to share something with you real